Okay, Vicki, one last question.
Sure.
So if a student wanted to find out more and get a little more deeply into the learning goals or the ideas relevant to gender and sexualities,
hmm
what might be some texts or some theories or some authors even that they might check out?
Yeah. I'd say probably one of the really key theories that I would encourage students to become familiar with, if they aren't already,
Mm-hmm.
is the theory of intersectionality.
Okay.
So this was originally a theory that was put forward by a law professor named Kimberly Crenshaw,
Mm-hmm.
and the original articulation of it was in this law article
Mm-hmm.
that looked at the disproportionate bias that happens to folks who, in her case, she was looking at folks who are both women of color and in particular Black women
Mm-hmm.
and women. So
Mm-hmm.
she used this article to really show that there are disproportionate effects of oppression depending on the number of targeted identities that a person might have.
Mm-hmm.
And so this theory came to be known as intersectionality. And it's really, really important to understand that we experience our lives as whole persons, and
Mm-hmm.
that the ways that we may experience privilege, the ways that we don't have privilege, the aspects of our identities in which we experience oppression, that those things are interrelated,
Mm-hmm.
that none of us is wholly oppressed, nor is any one of us wholly privileged.
Mm-hmm.
And so intersectionality as a theory is super important. And,
Okay.
folks could even Google that and find
Mm-hmm.
lots of stuff. And I would say, there's so much fantastic work, even in the current moment, when
Mm-hmm.
you look at Black Lives Matter, when you look at a kind of a parallel movement, that an intersecting movement with that Kimberly Crenshaw, actually, the person I just
Mm-hmm.
mentioned, has been involved with, is called Say Her Name.
Mm-hmm.
And Say Her Name, as a parallel to Black Lives Matter, has been about saying, Black Lives Matter has focused a lot on the kind of targeting of police violence against communities of color, in particular men of color.
Mm-hmm.
And Say Her Name says we can't forget about women who
Mm-hmm.
have also been targeted for violence, but are often left out of the narrative.
Mm-hmm.
And so, we can look a lot at some of the sort of news currently. We
Yeah.
can look at the Me Too movement. We can look
Mm-hmm.
at all of those things. So theorists, Kimberly Crenshaw, and intersectionality, super important.
Mm-hmm.
I would always say that people should know Gloria Anzaldúa, who was an
Mm-hmm.
amazing Chicana writer and thinker and poet. The work of Audre Lorde, the work of current theorists. Roxane Gay, for example, is a
Mm-hmm.
fantastic theorist. There's so much out there right
Mm-hmm.
now. So start anywhere and follow that track, and anywhere
Mm-hmm.
and everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And the richness that any student interested in finding out more will find is just tremendous.
Great. Thanks, Vicki.
Yeah.